I think that key executives should brush up on economic and financial history. And I even suggested that to the Bank of England, that it should have a test before it approved individuals for key roles. So institutional memory is important. For the first time, China may not follow the Fed and in fact could cut rates to support the Chinese economy. And so the central banks of the two largest economies in the world could be moving in opposite directions, which is historically unprecedented and the market has no experience of. When I was working in government with Gordon Brown, he used to start almost every speech with these words: for prosperity to be sustained, it must be shared. And, at that time, I don't think we really listened. We didn't pause and pay much attention to it. It's just what Gordon did. But a lot has happened and since then, and I think it really shows how pertinent what he said was. Technology is amazingly positive, but it's also disruptive, and not just in the way you mentioned, Moses, about being, a challenger to incumbent companies, but it's also disruptive on labor markets, on jobs and skills. And we've seen from previous industrial revolutions how disruptive that can actually be for really prolonged periods of time, and that it requires fundamental shifts in policies and institutions of labor markets, of regulation, social welfare, education, in order to handle technological change well. I would say that the biggest difference between the two sectors is the singularity of purpose in the private sector versus the multiplicity of purposes in the public sector. Government is a perpetual state of trade-offs and compromise. And in fact, the book that I won't, in fact, ever write about being in government, I would have the title for it, it would be called A State of Compromise. And I think at a micro corporate level, it's really important to start with the fundamental notion and premise that this is not about political correctness. It is about performance. But diversity of thinking is the protection that we have against the risk of groupthink and serious failures that come from everyone thinking the same way. That happened in the financial crisis when everybody believed this time it's different, which, by the way, is the most fatal 5 words in financial history. This time it is different.